Today, I am going to be showing you how to edit fire into your cosplay photos. I specialize in special effects editing and composites. This is the first in a series of tutorials I plan on making. You can actually check out more of my editing work down in the description below. There is a link. Ooh, you want to click the link. I know there are hundreds of fire editing tutorials out there. Trust me, I have watched a lot of them to get inspiration for my own edits. So I figured I'd show you how I personally edit and bring my photos to life. Now, join me over here where the magic gets made.
With our flame image we're going to use today, you would immediately go up into the layer, change it to screen, so you can actually see the image. Now we're adjusting the image to fit on the sword correctly. You can hold shift to pull individuals instead of just resizing in general. I like to sometimes use the warp tool, especially if it's like a weirdly, like this image ended up really working well for this, but sometimes you have to get a little creative. Here we are, fixing, adjusting. The warp tool is your best friend, especially with special effects. So you do have to be careful because sometimes it'll look a little weird. But here we are, we're getting close. So now that looks pretty good, I'd say. Only got to keep an eye on the hands because the way the light will hit hands is different. So we're going in, duplicating this layer. Normally you would rename the layer, but I'm bad. So now we're going to actually select the blade. We are using the object selection tool. And you're kind of just going in. You can do this multiple ways. You could literally just try and cut up. But this is normally the fastest way I found. Depends really on what the object is. Particularly you're cutting out. This one's a sword, so this works better because there's really crisp cut lines. You're still gonna have to go in and adjust it. I've never had a perfect selection. So here we are, just adjusting the selection to get as good as we can. And so there you go. Now you have the cutout sword. Now we're going to go and cut it out a little bit better. I go with the eraser tool on the white background. Some people like to prefer green background to better see the details. Honestly, probably better do that, but I'm a little crazy. So here we are. And we're now cleaning this up. I don't clean it up super well, mainly because I was like, this is a freaking tutorial. But this is how you would go in and you clean it up just so it looks a little bit better for when you go to the next step. So now we have our finished blade, and now we're going to turn on the other stuff again. Now we're going into blending options. So we're going to check outer glow. You see immediately the intense red glow, which works for some stuff. It kind of just differs. And you also want to change the blending option. I like to try a different view. I think I end up liking hard light for this specifically, and you also want to change opacity. There's a bunch of different settings. So now we have the outer glow. We're going to go into inner glow, which is basically a similar thing. You just kind of mess around with it, figure out what kind of color. Obviously flames, you kind of want something red or orange or yellow. Those are some ones to play around with. Honestly, it just depends on your lighting scenario as well. Now there you go. It's looking a lot better and more like the sword itself is actually on fire and not just like something pasted on top of it. I'm looking into the details of the hand. I noticed that the flame thing we picked actually worked really well, so I didn't want it to go in. Sometimes the fire is kind of blocking the hand. You might want to go in and erase a little bit. Now we're going into blur. So now we take the top photo and we add the blur. This is going to vary by image, so whatever I select might be different. A lot of it's just kind of playing around, I've found over the years. So now we're duplicating the bottom layer. So you're kind of like really building the flame. Like you have this fire image, but it doesn't translate well, especially with the black background with the flame. If you had it separated, it'd be a little different. So now I'm actually going in, I'm going to paint I'm creating basically the glow that would create. I know we have a little bit of a glow, but want more to affect the whole area of the image, or at least where you would think a glow might appear. Adding some red to the edges and blurring. You'll see that I don't sometimes like it, and a lot of the process is just kind of experimenting. Okay, did that work? Really? Not too happy. I'm going in and actually adding a little bit more yellow. I think I'm gonna add a little bit more orange. There you go. There you go. Ooh, magic. Blur, Gaussian blur. I'm trying that again to see if I like it. See if I need to mess with anything. I hate it once again. Here we go. Now we try motion blur to see if that kind of gets me the kind of what I was imagining. Which I do like that. So now we're going into the blending layers, and this is where you can kind of get fun and really get like the really vivid colors and crisp flames. Yeah, soft light, hard light. There's so many options. A lot of it's just kind of messing around with what you like. There we go. I'm Gaussian blurring again. And this time, I believe I'm going to use the warp tool actually to bring it out a bit. And the warp tool's, so like I said, it's amazing. Look, you can also affect how the light is. Which is really nice. And now I'm going to actually turn it down because it's a little intense, the opacity. I think I end up settling about 50%. It can really depend on the image, which is kind of why it's fun. I feel like every time I edit something different. Oh, here I am expanding it a bit. As you see, I really like how it's kind of encapsulating more of the image. And that's my final zoom in and out when I'm like, okay, here it is. Oh, there you go. Before, after, boom.
Thank you for sticking around, and I hope you found that helpful. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more of my cosplay photography content. Let me know what you want to see for future editing tutorials down in the comments. My next event I'll be at is GalaxyCon Columbus, where I will be filming my second CMV. You can actually check out my first over here. Ooh, go check it out. Now stay whimsical, my friends. That is a threat.